Good afternoon, sir. Sir, Sanjeev Sanyal mentioned that the country has appeared to be shifted from farming to services without going through the industrial stage. Right now, India is making its efforts to boost the manufacturing sector. Former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan emphasized that India should focus on services rather than blindly following the China model of manufacturing sector. So, what is your view on that?
See, there are two broad developments over the past 30, 40 years. Partly because of our stupidity as planners and as governments, we never focused on building a good manufacturing sector. The only effort made was in the early days in the wrong way. Take away agricultural surplus, put it in heavy industries with public money, steel plants, other things, etc., and then put a public sector on a pedestal and destroy the private sector by treating that any profitable activity is sinful. That is what our license permit quota Raj, centralized planning, and fraudulent socialism. It's not socialism really. Socialism are about. But beyond that, we never bothered to build the infrastructure. Even the electricity is so vital for a manufacturing sector in the modern era. Without electricity, what are you talking? Until recently, there was no power available. Even power being available in an office or in a factory was unthinkable. Third-rate infrastructure, our roads, our rail network were allowed to decay, our roads were never good. And of course, our taxation and our corruption. A combination of all these led to a situation where if you invested in an industry, you are a sinful fellow. It's better not to take that risk. Government consciously did it. When the private sector actually wanted to expand and build industry, we said no. There was a time when Tatas wanted to expand the Jamshedpur steel plant capacity. They said demand is there, we can produce more, please allow us, because in order to produce more, they required a permit. Government said no, you cannot do it. So this is something we created deliberately. Simultaneously, the rise of China created a problem for the whole world. The world of pre-1980s and post-1980s are radically different. Post-1980s, China became a dominant manufacturing power. And therefore, manufacturing in many countries is decimated. And therefore, our ability to rise also is constrained by China's ability to compete better. They had a comparative advantage because they started early. And they perfected a mechanism by which they can mass produce at a low price, almost any commodity. Now, does it mean that we give up manufacturing? It is an absurd notion. It's a ridiculous and dangerous notion. A tiny country like Israel can say, I will only focus on software, on defense industry, or on gems and jewelry or something. A country of 1/6 of humanity, 1/6 of humanity, where the organized sector constitutes only about 8% of the total workforce, maybe 10% at the most. Most people are eking out a precarious livelihood, where the skill level is low. To pretend that a software will employ all the 140 crore people of India, or at least 53 crore workers of India, is absurd nonsense. The whole world cannot accommodate 53 crore workers of India. Domestic laborer getting about 8,000 rupees salary. An assistant professor met me today, he's getting 30,000 rupees salary, assistant professor with a PhD. So if we think that this will somehow save India and hundreds of millions will get wonderful jobs, we're talking rubbish, with due respects. We certainly require service sector. Whatever opportunity is there, we take it. We certainly require manufacturing sector. We may not become as big as China. Maybe no other country will ever become as big as China in history. Maybe that's a one-off thing and it's over. But whatever space is available for manufacturing, we must embrace that. And already, for instance, the government's concerted effort to improve the infrastructure, encourage investment through judicious incentives like PLI, etc., and generally a climate hospitable to investment and industrialization, is yielding dividends. It's already yielding dividends. For instance, under the PLI, your mobile phones, which we imported, up to 90% used to be imported. There was a time every day I used to complain, even after founding Lok Satta, that in Chennai port, every day 5 truckloads of mobile phones are imported. Today, at least, we are proud that 97% of the mobile phones are manufactured within the country. And we also began to export now. We are now exporting about $12 billion of mobile phones annually. Hopefully, we'll reach now, our goals are to go to $20-30 billion. Whatever it is, everything is a little better than today. Yes, initially, much of the export is based on only components are made somewhere else. Maybe we're doing assembly. But slowly, the manufacturing also will take place here in the components. That's how it happens anywhere in the world. You go up the value chain slowly. But if you don't even make the effort, where is the hope? What is the chance? Pray tell me, what kind of jobs can you create for 53 crore workers in India in services alone? Yes, improved healthcare probably gives us about another 10 million jobs, maybe even more, 1 crore. And I'm a great champion of improving healthcare system. I'm fighting for that. We have a model. But that is only 2% of the workforce. World over, low-skilled population can be engaged only in manufacturing sector. It doesn't have to be always high-end. It doesn't have to be chip manufacturing and software. China exports $330 billion worth of garments and textiles. India produces as much cotton as China. India failed to go into that because our great policy makers who are now arguing for only service sector never amended the labor laws to ensure competitiveness in manufacturing in these low technology sectors, labor intensive sectors. So we never allowed our garment maker to improve in scale. Only when you improve in scale can you actually command market, can you improve, can you invest in technology, can you invest in innovation, and can you therefore capture global markets. If you're a producer with some 100 people, there's no way you can go beyond a point. You may become reasonably comfortable, but you cannot really innovate. You cannot penetrate the markets. So what was the impediment? Labor laws. And all these great people who are opposing manufacturing or their predecessors, what did they do? Have labor laws to protect the fellows who are already in the organized sector at the cost of the vast number of unemployed or underemployed people of this country, the poor people of the country, who desperately need a decent job. Otherwise, why is India exporting only, even today, a total textile and garment export if India is $41 billion as opposed to China's $330 billion, $323 billion, while China is 4 times at least richer than India and per capita income terms. So are you saying therefore India should not bother at all about leather manufacturing? India is the biggest producer of leather raw material. Our leather industry is next to nothing. Gems and jewelry, electronic components, the low-end components manufacturing, and of course garments, and 100 other things, whatever is possible, manufacturing, to the extent that you can be competitive. So why are we saying no to manufacturing? If you say don't put all your eggs in manufacturing, understandable. If you say agriculture cannot sustain everybody, understandable. Ultimately, agriculture cannot sustain everybody. In a modern economy, the non-agricultural needs outstrip agricultural needs. Once the basic survival needs are met, agriculture produces enough food material, enough raw material for industry, you require many other needs. Everything that you use today, your shirt, your watch here, the glasses that I have in my pocket, this collar microphone that I have, or the mobile microphone that you have, this camera, this chair, all these are what? Industrial products. So are you saying they must all be manufactured in China and we must buy them? And we must not focus on that at all? What are we saying? How can Indian economy, Indian society survive? How can Indian people get employment? So you do everything, whatever it takes to create productive employment in India. Better value addition agriculture. Agro-processing is industry. So you know what agro-processing in India? It's not manufacturing. 3% of our agriculture produces processed. And India is probably the biggest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world. Most of it is rotting. So no agro-processing. So what do you mean by manufacturing? If we want our people to be productive members of the economy, if you want low-skilled people to get a decent and secure wage, there is no substitute to growing in every sector, and manufacturing cannot be ignored. It's a disaster if you ignore manufacturing. I'm sure the people who say ignore manufacturing are well-meaning, But however exalted they think they are, I don't think they are thinking through issues very carefully. A country cannot depend, and a country as big as India cannot depend on fundamentals, whether agriculture. Why am I so worried about cooking oil? It's a major food. Pulses, major food for India. Because we are largely vegetarian. Even those who eat meat, most of our protein intake is through vegetarian food. So why are we interested, why are we concerned about excessive imports here? Because we have to be at least self-sufficient. Where possible, we must be competitive and globally sell. Similarly, manufacturing and services. Whatever opportunity is there, take advantage. For instance, healthcare services, if we really improve our system, already we are very price competitive, our quality is very good. We have to build some systems to give confidence to the people globally. We are already making about $13-14 billion annually. It's a service sale. I'm fair. I want it. We can easily make it $100 billion. So when I'm saying manufacturing also should grow, I'm not saying services should not grow. Because India has 45 crore people who need to be employed in the organized sector. No single sector is enough to employ them. Every sector, every avenue, every possibility, every manufacturing, every service that is saleable. Let us enhance our competitiveness, let us produce more and sell within the country, meet our needs and sell abroad and make money. So I don't understand people arguing, yes, people saying that we must focus on services and we can sell more. I'm all in favor. But saying don't worry about manufacturing, it is absurd in the extreme for a country of India's size and diversity, with 90% in the unorganized sector. It's a laughable. Actually, it's laughable if it's not so tragic. It's a tragic and dangerous argument.
Thank you, sir.